Here we are in the subterranean lake. We're chasing down Gutsco, but before we get on with that chase, let's just remove Toad. And now, you don't really need it. I mean, if you want to escape, you will keep it on, and in general, you should probably keep the spell itself, but there's really no need to keep it on the menu for the time being. There's no forced Toad sequences anymore, to my knowledge, but anyway, that's not important at the moment. We have some bombs here. Bombs are somewhat infamous enemies because when you hit them, they might use the self-destruct ability. Self-destruct is always based on the user's HP, which, in this game, the reason they won't use it at their max HP is because I believe it actually does 4 times the amount of damage that, of their HP, current HP rather. I think they have 315 health, if I was able to memorize that correctly. Yeah, they can do a fair bit of damage if you don't do some damage to them, and in fact, if they did explode, we'd have basically no chance to actually survive a shot, for the most part anyway. Maybe if they had almost no HP whatsoever, but if they have at least 100 HP, then yeah, that won't be pleasant. Somebody will die. Thankfully, though, I'm doing some pretty good damage. That takes care of that battle, and we can move on. Alright, so Subterranean Lake, of course, uses the... How very rude. Oh, now we've got Manticores. Manticores can petrify you, apparently. I don't think that actually happened in any of my runs, but I looked it up, and yeah, their attacks can cause petrification, which always makes me paranoid around enemies. Just have to say they can petrify you, and I don't like them at all. Even if they do have some pretty good headbangs going on. Oh yeah, and they can also use Blizzard, but yeah, that did minimal damage. Because, of course, they used it on the entire party, and by this point, a Blizzard on its own probably shouldn't do too much damage to a single character either. I mean, I'd need to see, and of course it depends a little bit on resistance, but overall, it's really not too bad. And there goes the other one. See? Not bad at all. Right, so if I could actually talk about the dungeon, of course it's got the same old usual dungeon music. Well, it's not the one that's always been used, but it's not one I really care for all that much. It's a pretty good looking area though. I do wish it had a bit more water. I mean, it is the subterranean lake, and yet, nope, just a big ol' hole right there. I do kind of like the sort of a limestone look it's got to it. Don't know if that's the right term, but I like the blues and the greenish blues, basically. It's a pretty good look, and it makes it look slightly better than your average cave. And thankfully it's not an overly complex dungeon, so you probably won't get lost. And I hope you do have that teleport ability, because getting out isn't exactly the easiest thing, especially since you have to waste MP to use Toad. Twice, really, since you have to use it to transform into a Toad and out of it. So anyway, here are these stalagmites. These guys can also inflict Petrify, possibly, with their physical attacks. They also have Stare, which... what's its Stare ability? I think it might be fuck. I think their Stare ability is Petrification as well, and by the way, thanks a lot for that. Now, I have got to make sure that I use the Gold Needle as Xavier, since he is pretty much my fastest character. Basically, if you ever need, like, Phoenix Down usage or Gold Needle usage or whatever to remove some sort of incapacitation, always make sure your fastest character moves, and in fact, it would be a good idea if a character moves like right before an enemy, or really right after it, then to use it then, and hopefully you have a healer as well. Because of course, there's always the possibility where you might revive someone, and then the enemy will just immediately kill them or petrify them again. And I think no, this isn't quite the end. Which does mean I have some time to mention an enemy that I'm pretty sure I didn't run across, which is called the Ruinous Wave. It has the bad... Oh wait, this is the final room. Never mind. And this gold as well! Who does this guy think he is? He's some weird-looking guy named Gutsco the Rogue, and yet he's got a gold pile, but he's not a dragon. Alright, so Gutsco here has 3,500 health, 35 attack, 24 defense. He also has the spells Cure and Mini. Yeah, he can turn you Mini, which I don't really like swapping out Toad and Mini in the middle of the dungeon, and even if I did, unless you're using a White Mage or you've completed the Topapa side quest, you probably won't have all that much MP for it. That's why I suggested you get the Mallets, because if he does cast Mini, then you're definitely going to want to use one of those Mallets to un-Mini a character. Because, yeah, we're not exactly in Small Town anymore, so if a character gets minied, it's for no reason, and then they'll just have no attack and no defense, and the no defense is especially bad. Gutsco doesn't hit too terribly hard, but if you're small, oh trust me, that'll down you pretty quickly. And of course that Cure isn't exactly... is it Cure? No, it's still Cure. Thankfully it's only a low version of Cure because, yeah, I don't care for when bosses heal themselves, but to be fair, it does make him waste a turn or two, and I certainly appreciate that. I mean, he's got 2 turns, so if he wastes one, that's great! I'd love him to waste a turn, as opposed to, say, using Mini for both his turns, because that would just be terrible. I mean, come on! Then you'd have to waste the other character. Well, actually, no, you can use Mallet from the characters who are minied and just have the properly sized characters do the work they're supposed to without having to waste their turns. Because, I mean, granted, it sucks that the character has to be minied, but you might as well just have them use the Mallet on themselves. I keep wanting to say Gold Needle, but they might as well use the Mallet on themselves, because the turn's probably wasted anyway, unless they're a mage, but, even then, a mage's low defense won't really... actually, it wouldn't even make that big a difference. Actually, it kind of depends. What even is my armor rating at the moment? I don't know how high William's defense is. I mean, it's probably nowhere near as good as Dante's or Ayla's, but it's still... oh, you jerk! Yeah, he can multicast that. Thanks a lot. Now I gotta waste another few turns. Oh, this is gonna be completely useless. Yep, not even 1 damage. Not even 1. Yeah, that's what makes Gutsco so annoying. I mean, he's not a particularly difficult boss, it's just, hey, I'm gonna mini you so this takes longer and I do a bit more damage. I'm kinda hoping he gets an attack in before I unmini, just so I see how much damage it does. No, not to the mage. Ah, there he goes, using Cure. Alright, so now I probably won't know. I'm not very good at math, so it's not like it'd even matter that much to look at William's armor and be like, okay, so, if he has this much defense, therefore, by lowering it to 1, that would mean he would take this much damage instead. No, I can't do that sort of calculation on the fly, you know. So, what does he do that's really rogue-ish? I mean, I guess he steals stuff. That's kind of roguish, but... I mean, he's not doing that much else. He's not that fast. You know, faster than any ordinary monster, and... let's be honest, he's not that charming either. Oh, hey, you came across my gold pile? Go away! Piss off! And then he's just this large, green, mostly naked man. And now he's a dead man, so he's even less attractive. Unless you're into dead bodies, in which case, you're weird. Don't be into corpses. Well, let me just pilfer your corpse, see how you like it, and now we have the Horn of Ice. Well, that takes care of that. He vanished? Like everything else in this game that dies? How strange. Well, guess it's not too important here or anything. Well, thankfully I have teleport because we're not going to get our own exit out of the dungeon, and I don't want to walk out of there. Right, now we're back on the world map. Let's just go give their horn back to the dwarves and, must be an emulator glitch or something. That is very persistent. Ah well, whatever it is, we've got some important business to do. Okay, it's not that important, but... that shadow's really weirding me out, but we gotta get this done. I mean, we got the Horn of Ice back, we should give it back to him. Oh, now I have to put it down, alright. Make me do the work, even though I killed Gutsco. Alright, let me just go over here and place this down. I tell ya, sometimes... What? Oh my goodness, he was disguised as my shadow? I could never have seen this coming. Oh, and he has taken both the horns. What a horrible situation. Could not have possibly predicted. Why are you, the rogue, stealing things, you jerk? Oh, well, lead me right to it. Thank you. Lolly, oh no! Oh, I love that line. Yeah, will do. But first, a nice visit to the inn, because we dropped a little MP on that battle, you know, we lost some spell charges, and therefore we get a rest. There's no GM here that can tell me, oh, you're in the middle of a thing, you can't go and rest. No, I'll sleep whenever I want to. Like a terrible D&D party, from what I know anyway. I haven't actually played any tabletop games myself, but it is my observation that generally, parties that just keep going into dungeons and then going back and sleeping are kind of the worst. Right. We had to go after Gutsco, and I mean, I know we already slept, but before we further go after Gutsco, let's look at her mail. This should be the final letter from Topapa. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. Topapa, we both saw this coming. I saw this coming, and I'm pretty sure I gave you advice. Pretty darn sure I did. So let me tell you, this is gonna be the letter I send. It's a little strongly worded, but I think it's necessary. Well, next time on Final Fantasy III, we won't just be going after Gutsco the Rogue, but first, now we have to go all the way back to and see if we can save those children, because they could be in danger. I mean, they couldn't have gotten past the first dungeon, but nonetheless, they're probably a bunch of weak guys who couldn't actually fight, so we're gonna have to save them ourselves. Then we'll go after Gutsco. Then, you know, save the crystal, which is one of the goals of this journey. No big deal, though.